Good morning, students. In a previous class, I explained about the human digestive system. I explained the structure of alimentary canal. Today, we let us discuss about the another part of the digestive system, accessory glands. This is the human digestive system consisting two parts, alimentary canal and associated glands. You know the structure of alimentary canal, different parts of the alimentary canal, and functions of the alimentary canal. Now I explain about the glands which are associated with this alimentary canal. Three glands: salivary gland in a buccal cavity, liver and pancreas are attached to the alimentary canal. Now I will explain about these glands. See, it shows the first associated gland, salivary gland. Salivary glands are located in a mouth cavity. In human, three pairs of salivary glands are present. A pair of parotid gland. So, see, this is the pair of parotid gland lies in front of the ear on the upper jaw. A pair of sublingual gland found just beneath the tongue, and a pair of submaxillary or submandibular glands lies behind the lower jaw. Total, how many salivary glands? Three pairs. Three on left side, three on right side. Total 6 salivary glands present in the mouth cavity. All these 6 salivary glands are three pairs of salivary glands secrete watery fluid that released into a mouth cavity is called saliva. Salivary glands are exocrine gland. It means it releases saliva through a duct. If the gland has a duct, that gland is considered as a exocrine gland. Here salivary gland has a salivary duct. Through that duct, it releases saliva into the mouth cavity. So these are exocrine gland. That saliva mainly contain water and also contain two enzymes. That is salivary amylase is one enzyme which digests carbohydrate, only carbohydrate, that break down polysaccharides into disaccharides. Salivary amylase. Salivary amylase is also called ptyalin. What is the name of salivary amylase? Ptyalin. One more enzyme present in saliva which do not digest a food, that is lysozyme. What is the function of the lysozyme? Lysozyme is an antibacterial enzyme which kills bacteria which are present in the saliva. that kills the bacteria which are present in the saliva, or through food or through water. If any pathogenic germs enter into a mouth cavity, that salivary or lysozyme that will kill the bacteria or any other harmful that microbes. Saliva also contain a mucus, or also called mucin, which lubricate the passage of the food. So this is about the salivary gland and saliva. And saliva also makes a food wet, that facilitate for easy movement of food in a GI tract, means gastrointestinal tract. Next, I will show another gland, that is liver. Liver. See here, there are two glands. I said three glands associated with the alimentary canal: salivary gland, liver, and a pancreas. See, this is the liver. Liver is the largest gland in the human body. We have number of glands. Some of them are exocrine glands, some of them are endocrine glands. The difference between exocrine gland and endocrine glands are: exocrine glands having a duct, endocrine glands not having a duct. This is the liver. Liver is the first largest gland in a human body. It is also exocrine gland, weighing about 1.5 kg in human. It is divided into lobes and externally covered by a capsule called Glisson's capsule. Inside, it has a number of lobules, are called hepatic lobules. This gland liver secrete bile juice. Per day, it secrete 800 to 1000 ml of bile juice when there is no food in the duodenum. It is the duodenum. What is duodenum? The first part of the small intestine is called duodenum. When there is no food in the duodenum, the bile produced from the liver is stored in this green colored sac, is called gallbladder. This green colored sac is called a gallbladder. The secretory product of the liver, bile juice, is stored in this gallbladder. When food enters into a duodenum from the stomach, suddenly this gallbladder releases bile juice into a duodenum. So that bile juice mainly contain that two bile salts. The main component of the bile juice are two bile salts: sodium terocholate and sodium glycocholate. You have to remember these two salts. These are useful salts, commonly called bile salts. What are the names of the bile salts? Sodium terocholate and sodium glycocholate. These two bile salts play an important role in a digestion of the fat. Remember one thing: the liver is the largest gland, but it do not secrete any digestive enzymes. Only it secrete bile juice. That bile juice contain two bile salts, sodium taurocholate and sodium glycocholate. They helps for digestion of fat or a lipid. Without bile salt, fats cannot digest in our digestive system. That bile salts break down big oil or fat droplets into fine particles. This process is called emulsification. Afterwards, that enzyme, means pancreatic enzyme, will digest a emulsified fat. This is the role of the liver in digestion of a food. Liver, how liver helps for digestion? Liver helps for digestion of the fat or a lipid. And bile juice also contain two pigments, bilirubin and biliveridin. Bilirubin and biliveridin are toxic substances, and they are the end products of breakdown of red blood cells. They excrete from the body through a bile. If liver is not functioning, that golden yellow colored fluid bilirubin concentration will increases in the bloodstream, that leads a disease called jaundice. That is the abnormal bilirubin metabolism and excretion. Even small quantity of cholesterol is also that produced from the liver. Liver play another role, that produces red blood cells, means blood cells. Do you know, we our blood has a rbc. RBC will not divide. They won't divide in the body. Then where that RBC, new RBC are produced in our body? New RBCs are produced in a red bone marrow. They are produced in the red bone marrow. But in embryonic stage, when a fetus is growing in the uterus of the mother, there will be no bones or bone marrow, but that embryo or a fetus has blood and rbc. Where that rbc are produced in fetal life? This liver produces red blood cells in a embryonic stage. Liver, another function is, it convert highly toxic ammonia into urea. That also takes place in the liver. It converts highly toxic ammonia into a less toxic urea in a cyclic process that is called ornithine cycle, that also takes place in a liver. It also produces heparin. It prevents clotting of a blood in a blood vessel. It generate a heat. When glucose level is high, more glucose is present in a blood, it convert that monosaccharide glucose into polysaccharide glycogen and stored in it. When there is no glucose in a bloodstream, again it releases glucose into the bloodstream by breakdown of polysaccharide glycogen into a glucose. So these are all the functions of the liver. Next gland is a pancreas. This yellow colored gland is present just beneath the stomach in the loop of the, see, in the loop of the duodenum. In the loop of the duodenum. Duodenum is the first part of the small intestine. This is the pancreas. pancreas is the second largest gland in our body. It is leaf-like. This is one question. Is pancreas is exocrine gland or endocrine gland? I said that if the gland has a duct are called the exocrine gland. For example, liver has a bile duct. This is a duct which convey bile juice from liver to the duodenum. Here, where that bile duct enters or open into a duodenum, there will be a small sphincter is present, that is called sphincter of Woody, that regulates release of bile into a duodenum. See, the question is, this pancreas is exocrine gland or a endocrine gland? This is the only gland in human body behaves both as exocrine as well as endocrine. That's why this gland is called heterocrine gland. It is considered as an exocrine gland because it has a pancreohepatic duct. That's why it is considered as exocrine gland. It also considered as a endocrine gland because it has a group of tissue. That group of tissue look like a island. Pancreas here and there has a group of tissues. That group of tissues look like a island. That island like tissue first observed by the scientist Langerhans. That's why they are called islets of Langerhans. That is the endocrine part of the pancreas. That endocrine part of the pancreas has alpha cells and beta cells. They secrete glucagon and insulin hormones respectively. Alpha cells secrete glucagon hormone, beta cells secrete a insulin that regulate the blood glucose level between 80 to 120 mg per 100 ml of blood. Next, this pancreas is a heterocrine gland. It is not completely exocrine gland. It is not completely endocrine gland. It behaves both exocrine gland as well as endocrine gland. So it is considered as a heterocrine gland. It secretes varieties of enzymes such as it produces carbohydrate digestive enzyme, it secrete protein digestive enzyme, it also secrete fat digestive enzyme. Which carbohydrate digestive enzyme is produced from the pancreas? The fluid or a juice which is secreted from the pancreas is called pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice which contain one carbohydrate digestive enzyme, again amylase. Amylase will digest carbohydrate. This pancreatic amylase is called amylopsin. Early, when I explained salivary gland, I said that salivary gland also secrete amylase, that is called ptyalin. Here pancreas also secrete amylase, that is called amylopsin, which digest that carbohydrates, polysaccharides into a disaccharides. For example, that is starch into a maltose. Next, which protein digestive enzyme secreted from the pancreas? For example, trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase, nucleosidase, nucleotidase. These are all the group of enzymes. they digest proteins are called proteolytic enzyme. Name the enzymes once again. That is trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase, that nucleotidase and nucleosidase. These are group of enzymes are produced from the pancreas. These are proteolytic enzymes. Next, which fat digestive enzymes are produced from the pancreas? Pancreas secrete one fat digestive enzyme that is called lipase. That is called the lipase. Lipase secreted from the pancreas is also called steopsin. Steopsin is the single enzyme which digests fats into fatty acids and glycerols after emulsification of the fat. So, pancreas is a very important gland because this is the only gland secrete enzymes which digest all components of the food like carbohydrates, proteins, and a fat. Next, so these are the three accessory glands. Apart from these, even glands are there present in the stomach. See, this is the stomach. Stomach is a large sized, J shaped muscular organ, hollow organ. Its capacity in human is 2 to 2.5 liters. This stomach is divided into three parts. First part, cardiac stomach, and middle storage part is called fundus, and distal part is called pyloric stomach. On the inner wall of the stomach also has a numerous glands are called gastric glands. That gastric glands are composed by three types of cells: chief cells, parietal cells, and accessory cells. Chief cells secrete proteolytic and lipolytic enzymes like pepsin and renin digest proteins, lipase digest lipids. What about carbohydrate? No, there is no carbohydrate digestive enzymes present in the gastric juice. That's why carbohydrate digestion will not takes place in the stomach. Only protein and small amount of fat are digested in the stomach because of gastric juice which contain proteolytic and lipolytic enzyme. These enzymes are produced from the chief cells of gastric glands. Another cells, parietal cells secrete hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid that makes the food acidic, that inhibits the digestion of the carbohydrate. It softens long protein fiber that helps for digestion of the proteins. Then HCl activates inactive pepsinogen into active pepsin. HCl also activates inactive prorenin into active renin. So HCl also acts as activator because prorenin and that prorenin and pepsinogen are activated by the HCl in a stomach. And that HCl is a strong acid. It also kills germs which enter into a stomach through a food and water. So it is this type of defense mechanism is called chemical defense. That HCl perform a chemical defense in a stomach. And accessory cells secrete large quantity of alkaline mucus. That alkaline mucus layer protect stomach wall against the hydrochloric acid. In a alimentary canal, apart from salivary glands and liver, pancreas, stomach, small intestine, that is a small intestine. See, first part of the small intestine, this is the duodenum. It also play an important role in digestion of the food. This is the small intestine, transverse section of the small intestine. The wall of the small intestine consisting 4 layers. The wall of the small intestine is formed by 4 layers. Outermost layer, see, this is the outermost layer, is called serosa. Serosa is the outermost layer. Next to the serosa, there is a layer called muscularis. Muscularis is made up of 2 types of tissue. One, inner circular layer, outer longitudinal muscles. The whole intestine is made up of smooth muscular tissue. Smooth or involuntary muscular tissue. The second layer, muscularis, is made up of inner circular muscles and outer longitudinal muscles. Third layer is submucosa, and innermost layer is called mucosa, and this is the lumen. It is the food passage. Food is passes through this lumen, and this is the wall of the small intestine in a transverse or a cross section. How many layers you come across from exterior to inner side? 4 layers. They are serosa, muscularis, submucosa, and mucosa. The mucosa, innermost layer, produces very fine finger-like projections. See here, small finger-like projections, numerous finger-like projections are present, are called villi. They are called the villi. Now I will show the section of the villi. See, this is the villi. Villi, finger-like projections that increases the surface of absorption. The villi increases the surface of absorption. See, villi, inside there are a lacteal. These lacteals, see, these are the lacteal which absorb, that is fatty acids and glycerols. 2 types of blood capillaries are here. Red colored capillaries are arteries, and blue colored blood vessels are veins. The capillaries of veins, blue colored veins, red colored arteries. See here, crifts. It means in the submucosa layer there are numerous glands are there. That glands are called crifts of Leberkens. In the small intestine, wall of the small intestine, the layer submucosa. Total how many layers are there? 4 layers. Which is the outermost layer? Serosa. Which is the second layer? Muscularis. Which is the third layer? Submucosa. Which is the fourth layer? Mucosa. Villi are present in which layer? Mucosa. Submucosa has a numerous glands are called crifts of Leberkens. See, crifts of Leberkens are the glands present in the wall of small intestine. these crifts of lubricants also secrete that juice. That juice means intestinal juice is called succus entericus. What is the name of the intestinal juice? Succus entericus, which contain varieties of enzymes. They completely digest a food. So since here small intestine receives, see, small intestine receives, it is the first part, duodenum receives bile from a liver, pancreatic juice from the pancreas. The small intestinal wall also has numerous glands, are called crifts of lubricants. So all enzymes together digest food in the small intestine. Therefore, complete digestion and absorption of the food takes place in the small intestine. So this is about the accessory glands. Now let us study about the physiology of the digestion. In a digestive system where that digestion of the food takes place, is food digest in the buccal cavity, or in the pharynx, or in the esophagus, or in a small intestine, or in a large intestine, actually where that food will digest. In the alimentary canal, digestion of the food takes place only in three parts. They are buccal cavity. First digestive site is buccal cavity. Next digestive part is stomach. Third digestive site is small intestine. In our body, digestion of food takes place only in three regions: buccal cavity, stomach, and small intestine. Food contain carbohydrates, proteins, and fat. Where these foods will digest? Food digestion takes place in buccal cavity. It means, is carbohydrate, protein, fat, all the three food will digest in the buccal cavity? No. In buccal cavity, only one food component will digest, that is the carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, uh, because buccal cavity receives saliva from the salivary gland that contain enzyme ptyalin that digest starch into maltose. Proteins and fats will not digest. Only small quantity of lipids may digest here, but major quantity of carbohydrate will digest. Is protein digestion takes place in the buccal cavity? No. And when food in a buccal cavity, it will be alkaline. It is alkaline. Next, when we swallow the food that passes through pharynx and esophagus, it reaches the stomach. When food enters into the stomach in the form of bolus, what we called it bolus, there it mixed with a gastric juice. When it mixed with a gastric juice, it become acidic, because gastric juice contain hydrochloric acid. It become highly acidic. Its pH decreases till 1.5. In that acidic condition, carbohydrate digestion will stop, protein digestion starts, because gastric juice contain two enzymes, pepsin and renin. Pepsin and renin both will digest the proteins, that long protein fibers into that proteoses and peptones, tripeptides, dipeptides. So they will digest, and small quantity of lipid also digest, because that chief cells of the gastric glands in stomach will secrete gastric juice. When food is mixed with a gastric juice in a stomach, it become acidic. That acidified semi-solid food is called chyme. That chyme now enters into a small intestine. Small intestine. When it enters into a small intestine receives alkaline pancreatic juice from the pancreas. Again, its pH start increasing. That food become alkaline with the help of bile juice, with the help of pancreatic juice, and with the help of intestinal juice. What is the name of the intestinal juice? Succus entericus. So complete food will be digested in the small intestine. After digestion, the villi of the small intestine will absorb that digested food, that is called assimilation. Next, that food enters into a large intestine. See here, at the junction of a small intestine and large intestine, here there is one finger-like projection, that is called vermiform appendix. Vermiform appendix is a vestigial organ found at the junction of cecum, the first part of the large intestine, and ileum, last part of the small intestine. When that undigested food passes through colon or large intestine, it absorb water, so it become that solid, and that liquid food is converted into semi-solid, and solid food is deposited in a small chamber of about 5 inches long, is called a rectum. From there, periodically at regular intervals, it eject from a body. It remove from the body through a canal called anal canal, is called egestion. Egestion. So this is the process of digestion of food in our body. I will show the chemical digestion of the food, how the food will digest with the help of the enzymes in this slide. See here, in a mouth cavity, that polysaccharide starch is digested into disaccharide maltose with the help of enzyme salivary amylase. In a small intestine, the protein small bits called dipeptides, tripeptides, with the help of intestinal enzyme are digested into a amino acids. Amino acid is a simple form of a protein. See, maltose is a disaccharide. It is digested by enzyme maltase of intestinal enzyme into two molecules of the glucose. Similarly, lactose is a disaccharide digested by intestinal enzyme lactase into glucose and galactose. Similarly, another disaccharide, sucrose, is a disaccharide digested by enzyme sucrase into one molecule of glucose and another molecule of fructose. So here all proteins are digested into amino acid, all carbohydrates are digested into glucose, galactose and fructose, and all proteins are digested into amino acid. Here lipids are digested into fatty acids and glycerols with the help of lipase. Lipase will present in saliva. It also present in gastric juice. It also present in intestinal juice. All these enzymes digest carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into a simple molecules such as amino acids, glucose, fructose, galactose, fatty acids, and glycerols. These are all simple form of the food. In our body, all complex food is converted into a simple food. So this is called a digestion. After the digestion, the small intestine will reabsorb all digested food. To this point, I will stop now. In my next class, I will explain another system. Thank you.